All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our first Learning and Growing webinar of 2022, Setting Up Your Virtual Classroom. Our presenter today is Becki Streett. My name is Catherine Schaefer, and I'm a member of our sales team here at Hawks Learning. We will have a live Q&A session after the presentation, so please enter any questions into the Q&A as we go, and I will now hand it over to Professor Streett.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see, okay. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Awesome, okay. Hi, I'm so excited to be here today. I've been fine-tuning virtual spaces for my own classes for about 2 years now, so I'm definitely not an expert. And mine are works in progress. I'm always changing them and trying to improve them, but I really enjoy designing them. And I've gotten some great feedback over the last 2 years and ideas actually from both my students and other faculty members. And so I hope that you will find some of these ideas useful in your own classes. With the seemingly never-ending pandemic, I think it's super important for us all to have something in place that can accommodate the changing needs of our students. So whatever modality you're teaching in, if it's face-to-face, fully online, hybrid, high flex, or somewhere in between, it can be really helpful to have a consistent tool that students know they can go to find what they need. I think are great because they're interactive, they're super adaptable, so you can pivot really easily in the middle of a semester, they're easy to share, and it's kind of like a one-stop shop. So here's an example of a virtual space that I used in one of my hybrid classes last fall. So basically I have this basic slide that I give students at the beginning of the semester. This is actually week 9 into the progress, but most of the stuff stays the same. I created this one on Canva, which I am completely obsessed with right now, but you can easily do something like this on Google Slides, which I've done a lot in the past, and PowerPoint if you want to. Wherever your comfort level is, I think those are great resources for doing this. On this slide, I try to include links to everything I can think of that a student might possibly need. So virtually every word that you see, image and or box, is linked to something like the course syllabus, calendars, etc. And I'll go into some more details about some of those in a few minutes, but basically after I do create that initial slide, it just takes a few minutes every week to update it. For instance, I will update on the left, you see the little 2-week calendar. I always put a new 2-week calendar so they can kind of see what this week looks like and the next week, and I'll update the to-do list. Besides that, most of it can kind of stay the same unless there's some new announcement. I might do like a flashing arrow pointing to one of the links to make sure that they see that. But it only takes a few minutes each week to do that. And at the beginning of each week, I can share this with my students in a couple different ways. So first, I always download it as a PDF, and on Google Slides and Canva, this is super easy to do. And the PDFs are still hyperlinked, which makes it nice. And then on Canva, and you can do this on Google Slides as well, is I always copy a link to view. And so then I take that link and send it as a hyperlink on an email to my students. And I also share it on Blackboard and on the course syllabus. So even though I put this link on the course syllabus at the very beginning of the semester, as I update the slides, anytime a student were to click on that from the syllabus, it'll always go to the most updated version, which comes in handy. And now I'll walk you through some of the highlights on here. So some of the hyperlinks go directly to documents, like a syllabus or a calendar that I've shared via my Google Drive. So for instance, my syllabus calendar and list of videos that I've created for the class, those are all stored in my Google Drive. And I can just hyperlink them when students click on different things on the slide. And then some of the hyperlinks go directly to websites. So like one link goes to a great Newsweek article I want my students to read. Others go to Khan Academy, YouTube videos, etc. And then some of the links go to other pages on my Canva slide deck. So if I want something to have its own slide deck, a lot of times because I want it to look good, then you basically click on the little hyperlink button that's in the top left-hand corner, and instead of typing in a website or a web address for your Google Drive, you can pick one of the pages on your document so that when a student clicks on that icon, it'll go directly to that page. So here are some examples of those other pages that I do. So for instance, if you click on Statement of Hope, you arrive on this page, and I've recently started using this statement in all my classes. I started it during the pandemic, and it's come in handy. It was inspired by Dr. Monica Linden from Brown University, and in it, I talk about my hopes for the class. And I also include links to some of the great resources available to my students. And those QR codes that you see are super easy to create on Canva, and my students tell me that they love them. And I've been really blown away by the responses I've gotten since I've started using this statement. For instance, I have had one student who said that they had no idea that our campus even had a food pantry, and they had food insecurity, so it ended up being a way for me to help them just with the statement. And I feel really good about that because it never occurred to me before to include things like that. I teach math, and I tend to not think of that kind of stuff. But I think a statement like this, if you don't already use something like it, I would encourage you to do it. I think it can be a great way to show students that you care about them, both in and out of the classroom. And then I have links to other things, more like classroom related. Like I have a link to class meetings. And this can be especially helpful if your modalities change during the semester. For instance, last semester when I did my hybrid class, we would meet once a week in class and once a week in a classroom, and then the other time via Zoom. And it can be confusing, so students always know to look here to see what day, what time we're meeting. And if you click on the map to the left, that takes them directly to a campus map with a big star where classroom is located. And then if you click on the Zoom link, it takes them directly to my Zoom link. So to my Zoom room, so it works out really well. There's also a link to office hours. And again, there's a direct link to my Zoom room. And this is also a great place to tell students more about office hours. I don't know about you, but I've always struggled with getting students to actually show up. And so when a student clicks on that bottom post-it note, it takes students to this great article I found on medium.com about the importance of attending office hours. I have no idea if a student has actually ever read this or not, but I have noticed something is making a difference because particularly this last fall semester, I had more students show up for office hours, both in person and online, than ever before. So hopefully it's helping a little bit. I also like to include a full list of campus resources. College campuses have so many great resources that are sometimes overlooked. I think that often our students are told about these types of services like when they have a campus visit or during orientation, but by the time the semester gets underway, they completely forget about it. So this is a great place to include those resources. And I just sent out an email at the beginning of the fall semester asking just the faculty at my campus to send me ideas for this page. And I got so many great ones that I didn't even think about, like Campus Garden, for instance. I guess I knew we had one of those, but it's kind of fun to have that link. Again, who knows if students use it, but it's great to have it there. And my favorite link probably is the one to my junk drawer. It's a great place to add some fun extras. The key, for instance, is a link to a hidden extra credit assignment that I give, and I'm always pleasantly surprised by how many students actually find it, because I don't tell them it's there, and complete the assignment, which is the whole point of it. And when a student clicks on answers to final exam, they get rickrolled. So, and I've had a lot of students say that I can't believe you rickrolled me, and I always say, well, I can't believe you were trying to look at the answers, but it's kind of fun, little goofy thing that helps students kind of engage with the deck more. And another thing I like to always include is the team roster. And this one's been really important, especially with students having to learn remotely. So to do this, I always create a Padlet for the class. And if you've never used Padlets before, I highly recommend them. They're great. You can get like 5 of them for free. I just use the free version. I never pay for the advanced one. But basically, I set up the team roster. And you can't see on this photo, this is actually not one of my real classes, because by the time I'd black out everyone's name and photo, you just see black boxes. So I just kind of created this one, but I always have myself on there and how they can contact me. And usually I have a learning assistant in my classes, and so the learning assistant will do this as well. But I ask students to upload a picture that represents them. Some of them just do a full-on photo. Some of them do avatars or memes, whatever. I ask them to include whatever name they want to be called. Like, a lot of them have names that differ from those that are on the roster, and so it's nice to see what they prefer to be called. I ask them if they feel comfortable to share a way that other students can contact them, like an email address or Instagram handle, whatever it's called. And in this case, I also ask them to list something that makes them happy. So it's a nice icebreaker from the beginning of the class. It's something students have throughout the semester, so they can click on it to find the email address for someone if they need to. And it's a great way to connect. Well, like I said, it's a great way to connect with other students, especially if you're learning remotely, and you can't just ask the other person in class. And also, I think by having people post a picture of themselves or something that they really like is a nice way to let them express themselves. And like I said, some of my students don't feel comfortable sharing a photo of themselves. So instead, I encourage them to create an avatar. And one of my students actually shared this website with me. It's called Get Avatars. The avatars is spelled kind of weird, but it's pretty cool. You can create your own, or you can even click on random avatar, which is usually pretty funny. And I have tons of students that use this as well. It's free. I also create a class playlist Padlet. So I'll create a Padlet, another Padlet for my class, and ask students to upload clean versions of their favorite songs. And so that's always there. On Zoom sometimes, if I'm doing a Zoom class, when I give them a problem, I'm like, okay, you guys have 3 minutes to work on this problem. I'll play one of those songs from the playlist. Or if we're face-to-face, I will do the same. Play their songs as they're walking into class, or if they're doing group work. But basically, the junk drawer, I think, is a really fun place to connect students with all these extras. And because I know students are using a lot of things on the junk drawer, I think it encourages them to use the slides just in general. Another thing that you can easily do on Canva is correct charts. I use it to illustrate my grade breakdown for my class. I always keep that like at top there, because I always want students to realize homework counts 25% of your grade, for instance. And Canva makes it really easy to create these charts. Obviously, you can do them on Excel and Google Slides as well, but that's always a nice kind of visual way for students to see what's going on, and it's super easy to navigate on Canva. So before I talk a little bit about the template that I created, I just wanted to mention a few observations. I have gotten some really positive feedback from students. I think especially when they're not sitting in a classroom in front of you and you're spoon feeding them the information they need for the class, just emailing them like a 10-page written document can be kind of daunting, and I'm sure most of them don't read most of that. And so students have said that they definitely feel more comfortable with the slides. Kind of the visual aspect of it makes it a little more engaging and user-friendly. And students have reported using more resources like Khan Academy, and our math says MAB, that should be lab, sorry, than they have in previous semesters. I think because it's easier to find them. There's a direct link from the slides. I have no more of those when, where is emails from students, because they know where everything is located or where to find the information. I have increased virtual engagement. I have less late or missed work because students see that calendar every single time. That's the very top of the slide. And like I said, it's easy to use to share as a PDF, and I can't emphasize that enough. And that's the one advantage I would say Canva and Google Slides have over PowerPoint. PowerPoint can kind of do it, but it's harder to save a PDF on PowerPoint with the hyperlinks that work as well as they do on Canva and Google Slides. And the one thing I didn't include on this list is that more and more of my students have started asking about Canva. They want to know how to use it themselves for projects, etc. So I think it's just by my using it is a nice way to introduce a soft skill that may come in handy for them in the future. So in case any of you guys are interested, I created a template on Canva. So you'll get a link that kind of, that'll look like this. And the good thing about it is when you click use template, you can play around with it as much as you want, delete pages, add pages, totally change the pages, and you can do several iterations of it. If you screw up something, it's easy to go back and fix it. But in case you're interested, I just kind of tried to do some of my greatest hits that I've done. Not that they're that great, but they may give you a good basis if you're if it seems a little daunting to jump in and create the whole thing yourself. So for instance, there's some slides in there like this that are just the background, and you can add whatever resources you want. It's super easy to just click on a text button, type what the resource is, and then do the hyperlink. Same with like my basic classroom, I did that. And you'll see several of them. I think there's like 10 different things in there. But then I've also included slides like this that already have the text boxes in place in case you don't want to create new text boxes. And you just literally can click on any of the words and edit them as you want, delete things, move things, and change things. And I want to include some links to useful information for building your own virtual spaces. All of these, you can do the QR codes with your phone by just aiming the camera at it. Or if you click on any of the written things below each QR code, you can get the link there. There are so many great videos on YouTube, especially so many creative, inspiring instructors that show you how to do everything you can think of. And these are some of my favorites. So that's kind of the basis for what I want to show you. I'm glad to walk you through any of the creating a page or changing things, answer any questions. Please write down my email address. If you have any questions, let me know. I love helping people do this stuff. I'd be happy to help you if I can. You may know more about it than I do. And also, I'd just like to know what you guys are doing in your classes.
Thank you, Becki. Again, please post or type or put any questions that you have in the Q&A. We do have one question so far. What LMS does your school use? And I assume maybe wanting to know if you could share it or publish this on the LMS.
Yeah, so we, do you mean like Blackboard? We use Blackboard at my school. Yeah, and it works with Canvas as well, where what I do is kind of, if you click in the chat that Catherine did that has the designing virtual spaces, you will see that that is just a Google document with hyperlinks, one to the presentation and one to the template. So basically what I do when I post this on Blackboard, and like I said, it works on Canva as well, is I'll go to Google Doc and just create a document that'll say class slide deck, and then the hyperlink is there. I also do the QR codes in case students want to do it that way, and then I attach the PDF. And so then you create that document on Google Docs. I save that with the hyperlinks on it, the visual one that's attached to it, and then the QR code, and then I just save that as a PDF and just upload it to Blackboard. I do the same when I upload it to my Hawks Learning class, where you can post material and stuff. So it's just, that's what's great about being able to save it as a PDF. And then a lot of LMSs and things like Hawk will also let you do hyperlinks as well. So it's super easy to hyperlink.
Wonderful. Would you mind, Becki, sharing with us how to create a template?
Absolutely. Let me get to, I'm going to share the virtual template. If I can find it. Okay, right here. Can you see that?
We can.
Okay, so this is what you'll see when you click on the virtual template. And I have, like I said, I have several things here. Like that's my main slide with the text boxes and stuff included. Here's just a blank one if you want to totally start over. Same with the classrooms, office hours. I do for videos, if you like a little thing to post your videos, resources. The junk drawers in there, my statement. Sometimes I do a week at a glance, so I put that in there, and then also included resources. So basically the idea is when you're on here, you're not going to screw it up. If you do something that you don't like say I go over here and I accidentally type, I don't know, a 6 and I didn't mean to do that. Or no, let me do something better. let's say I accidentally delete that whole thing and I'm like, oh, where'd it go? If you click on this button kind of towards the top left, it will bring back what you had. So that's one kind of safety valve. And you can go back, like I've had to go back 20 mistakes, like 20 different things. So you can usually go back in one sitting. So like if you made a mistake yesterday and logged out and then came back, it's not going to let you go back. But you do have that ability to go back or forward if you see something, which is very helpful. And then say you wanted to use just a total blank one. There are lots of different things you can do. For instance, if you go to text, you can add, these are usually the easiest. That you can kind of do big, medium, or large. So say I do that, and you can drag these wherever you want. You can make them big this way or small. You can also make them big or small this way. You can change the fonts. They have some fun ones to do as well. But so you can add fonts as you want, add text, and there are a lot of different ways to play with these. So I think the best thing is just get on there and try it. Then say we want to add an element of an icon of a calendar. The good thing about Canva, just the free thing, is when you click calendar, for instance, it gives you tons of pictures and you can literally just drag it over and put it where you want. So it's really useful that way. If you want to add your own complete blank page, you can just click this little thing in the top right-hand corner, and it'll give you a brand new page. If you want to duplicate a page that's already there, you just can click on the one that says duplicate and it'll show up. Of course, if you want to delete a page because you don't like it, you can delete it. And then if you take one of these, let me go to the one I already have stuff. You probably won't want to use my photo, even though you're welcome to. Just kidding. But you can delete, and you can come here and type in your own name and your own email address without having to worry too much about doing all the text boxes. Some people, of course, I like to do my own text boxes, and I spend a lot of time playing with fonts, but the template kind of works where you can use kind of what's there, you can add to it and edit as you want.
One quick question. For your background, is that just under templates on the left, or how could you create or find a new background?
Good. Okay, yeah. So if you want to create your whole new one, so let's create a new page. And if you go here, this is another cool thing about Canva too. They have a million different templates, but say we want to do a desktop. Okay, these are, well, okay, yeah. There are two different ways. You can do templates that are more like something like this. If you want to, they'll already have like a chart like this, which can come in handy so you don't have to come up with the colors and all the shapes. And then you can just edit your words. So the templates have lots of different built-in things like that that you can add or get rid of. But then also, if you're trying to be more like create your own background like with a photo, then let's do that. If you go here and you go under elements, and that's the better place. If we go to elements and say we want a photo of a desktop, for instance, whoops. You'll see all different kinds, and you can, the general ones, which will be some graphics and some photos. If you want to do like an actual photo, like say you want to do this as your background, you can, and you can make these as big or small as you want. And those are great kind of, in my opinion, those are great backgrounds. There are also backgrounds that are built in on Canva. Most of them are more graphic, but you can use those as well. And so it really depends on how much time and energy you have, like how creative you want to be. I'm obsessed with it. I spend way too much time. That was like the one thing I did during COVID was learn how to do Canva. So I love it. And if you guys like that kind of stuff, I would encourage you, if you haven't tried it, to play with Canva. But otherwise, you'll find lots of kind of built-in ones that are already there.
Thank you. A couple more questions have come in. The first one, will the links be sent out after the presentation? Yes. And I can also paste them in the chat again. And then is Canva free?
Yeah, well, there are two different versions. There's the free version of Canva and Canva Pro. I actually use Canva Pro now because I use it so much, but I used it for about a year with just the free version, and I was able to do really cool stuff that made me happy. And the template that I sent you, even with the free version, you'll be able to do whatever you want with it.
the follow-up question is, do you get this many options with a free version of Canva?
Not as many. Let me see if I can kind of show you how it works. Like, let's say we wanted to do a clock. I'm trying to see if, I guess it doesn't show. When you have the free version and you do clock, oh, okay, yeah, maybe here. So can you guys see I'm hovering over that first clock and it says free? And
Yes.
then this one says pro. And so that's mainly where I saw the differences. Not all of the photos that are built into Canva will be there, but you can find any photo you want on the internet and just screenshot it and pull it in as well. I'm not exactly sure what the copyright legalities are there, but I know people do that all the time. And even if you have a photo of, what I used to do too is, like, if I wanted a clock like this and I didn't have that, I would just take a picture of a clock I have. And the cool thing is you can pull over any of your own images. And if you go to edit image, you can click on something called the BG remover, which just means background remover, and it will remove the background. So you get that like floating clock, which I like without all the background. And that's on the free version. So I would encourage you to see what's there on the free version, but no, and you'll see it because on the free version it'll like tempt you with all of the pro photos as well, and that's really what got me to pay for it.
Thank you. And I'm also going to go ahead and paste in the chat one more time that link that has all of the information that Becki is so kind to share with us today.
And feel free to email me. I'll send you anything or help you. Like I said, I love this stuff, so I'm happy to help anybody.
Perfect. Any other questions for Becki Streett? Give me another minute or so to put those in. We will be sending all of this out in an email of the link to the live or the recording, as well as the link for the information that Becki shared with us today. But it looks like that might be all of the questions. Thank you again, Professor Streett, and thank you all for attending today. If you're interested in the link to this presentation and the virtual classroom template, I just posted those in the link, or posted the link in the chat now. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to Professor Streett or reach out to us directly at marketing@hawkslearning.com. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.